And at the end of this video, you're gonna be like, I used to have art block. Wow, I can't remember those days.
Tip number one.
So as you can see on the screen, I'm just like scribbling, just like doing line strokes and everything. And you're probably wondering, why am I doing this? Like, is it to build something? Is it to build mass or something? No, it's just to get the use of just the like free flowing brush strokes. Just letting the pen go, letting the pen get narrower and then wider, and just really get into the habit of just not being so articulate, so precise with the actual lines that you're making. Because this, if you're doing hair for instance or anything else, it will kind of just allow you to be like, okay, so if I do a chicken scratch, that's not always going to work, and chicken scratch doesn't always work. And if you don't know what chicken scratch is, it's like little like faint marks or something, so you don't go throughout the paper, so you don't have to worry about too much. It's like very sketchy, interpreted, and sometimes that's not gonna always, yeah, you're not gonna get clean line strokes if you do that. So this is just a way just to get out of your head, and maybe you think as well, I see a pattern in this thing I made, I'm gonna isolate some parts and then make something creative. So overall, there's just benefits all around for doing this.
Tip number two.
So drawing outside, what's the actual benefit of that? Well, I'll explain. You see, for one, you enhance your observational skills. Too many times we're relying on reference in the internet, and we think that only with reference can we make something good, which is the case. You need reference to understand something, but there gets to a point, just like with any type of learning, you've gained enough knowledge that you can do things on your own. You can be responsible and accountability. And when you go outside, there's lots of elements to consider, like lighting, maybe and the weather as well. You don't want to take your £500 camera on a day that's going to be raining if you don't have like any camera insurance or you don't have anything to cover it, because that's going to be a bad investment. While on in that internet, you won't really care because it's just a picture. It can't affect you in real life. Second, you need to consider lighting as well. Maybe as an artist, you stray away from shading because you think it might ruin the piece, and I might not be good at it. It might just look like scribbly mess and stuff. But yeah, actually, you're working with real life lighting. You actually learn that, okay, I need to know that this color is gonna work with this. So I also need to know to leave space out for that. There's so much you actually learn on. It's like an internship. You're gaining so much experience from actually doing it compared to just either copying or interpreting someone else's work on the internet. No matter how good it is, not about their quality, it's more about what you can bring. So also you get less distractions as well. If you're copying something on the internet, you can save the picture, you can do it anytime you want. With actually going to a location, have limited time there. Either maybe you're on a picnic and there's a ladybug and you can't draw that forever, so you have to really get the key details down. Obviously, you could take a picture, but that kind of feeling of not rush but intention, limited time, and exclusivity of that ladybug being there, that actually matters because that makes you think, okay, I have to dedicate my time to this, even if it goes, I know enough memory from this to draw, but still, that kind of rush, that kind of purpose, that kind of vision, that kind of not giving up, that resilience, that's very important in your art and in your life as well. And sometimes when you're inside as well, you're just looking at the phone all the time or whatever, it's going to hurt your eyes eventually. And then maybe you're going to only feel like, without any time without your phone, like when your phone needs charging and everything, you feel empty or something. And this relationship isn't good. So by going outside and drawing, you really understand it's not about what other people can give you on the internet that makes you a better artist. It's more what you can do yourself and habits you can in intertwine with your life to help relieve stress. And see, there's going to be so much variety as well with internet. Again, not this isn't a dig, but like, say you like drawing characters like anime or something, you can keep on drawing anime and you like it, and there's so many different anime styles, and that's amazing. But in real life, you might think, do I want to draw another rock again? Oh, maybe this rock has a twig next to it. Maybe there's some grass on it as well. You're always thinking about variation and variety, and that's important as an artist. You're always thinking, okay, you know what? This might be. You might see an animal and you think, how do I draw that quickly and get the essence? Or how do I make that look like an animal's interacted with that? So you're really applying real life storytelling without kind of any influence or any thought that um, another artist made it. So like it's always going to be compared to another artist when you make it, no matter how. So you'll always be thinking, well, this artist made it. If I make this, people think theirs is better. Or won't factor into your head. Who knows as well? You might draw something and someone, not that it should be your intention, but maybe someone comes along and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" Again, that shouldn't be your intention. Maybe that would be a scary situation, and maybe avoid that. But the point is, it's like it's kind of you'll see maybe people walk in, and that might be your inspiration as well for like how textures work and everything, or maybe they leave a footprint, and you're thinking, okay, I've drawn everything that's kind of not had a human interaction. Maybe that would be interesting, and then you just your skills as well will grow as well because you're thinking, okay, so maybe you don't bring a rubber, or you do, but let's just say you don't for the best intention. You're like, okay, I have to find a way to maneuver this creatively without the use of a. That's either going to make everything I do intentional, or I'm going to draw it lightly and then try and add my own narrative to it using an art style. But I think you should kind of keep it on track to what is actually there. So that's just like saying like if you don't use rubber, don't bring a rubber. It's not the end of the world, basically. Like still try and persist with it. Don't just turn to the next page because you'll actually find something about yourself as well if you keep on continuing with this. And you just grow more confident drawing things that you didn't think you was into. Like, for example, you might not be, you might see some mold, and obviously no one's into mold, but you would think, well, the pattern it leaves is quite interesting. Maybe if I'm a fashion design person or something, I could use that as inspiration for a dress. So it's gonna factor every part of your life and gonna hold importance. That's why drawing outside is beneficial. If you've got artwork, and even if you don't, it's just an amazing experience.
Tip number 3.
It's very important, and that's redrawing old art. Why? Well, think about if you're in a production, right? You can't only have one iteration of an idea. You can't only have one thumbnail because your idea will never take off. If you only stick to one thing and you think that's the absolute best and it can't even get better in any way, then obviously you can't be part of a production. And if you're thinking industry, then obviously like if you have a portfolio or something, you can't only send one idea. Even no matter how strong it is, you still need to show that thought process. Just like a maths exam, you need to show that you've had little like improvements and everything. And well, it's not the same line as a production that you're doing. Like it's linked to something. It's more of a test of yourself, like what new techniques you've learned, the old style that you used to have, and you really get to see like how much you've learned through however long you draw it. Now it is best to draw it between a year or more from your old art. Like it could be just to know like things you might think are ridiculous that you drew then, but then you're kind of proud of how much you've grown. Like you really need that experience. If you ever feel like you're down in the dumpster and feel like you aren't going anywhere, redrawing your old art really shows you that you're making it.
Tip number 4.
Draw things you're afraid of. Now, what could you be afraid of? Maybe cars, maybe hands, maybe drawing things that are too detailed with too much shading because you may feel like your lines might get lost in the shading and you think maybe that's the case. But why should you draw these things that you're afraid of instead of moving away from them? Well, that's going to be your ultimate test as an artist. Something you can say. You obviously, as an artist, it's great to have strengths. You should have strengths, but if you always never try, at least, then a part of yourself will always kind of feel guilty for not pursuing that. At least it once, at least something once. Like say you hate drawing hands. If you never draw hands at all the characters in the book, that may be your style. That may be great. Or it could be paws or mittens or something, and that would be great as well. At least if you know you've done it once, you can say, you know what? I've learned how to draw a hand. I don't like it, but I've learned how to do it. Now I can move forward with the things that I'm actually good.
Tip number 5.
So as you can see in this picture that I'm doing, I basically covered the whole page, at least the page that I want to draw with pencil, and basically I've gone over it with rubber on the parts I want to make out. Now, for this piece in particular, I knew I did wanted to take a character right out the scene because I just wanted to focus more on the setting. I thought let's keep it simple as well. So I was starting to build a hill, and then I kind of built that shape. And then I was thinking about like let's make this a nice sunny setting. So speaking of sun, let's do a classic children's style sun. So I did that as well. Then I thought a lake would be really nice to add to this piece. So I added that as well. And then some really spiky grass because that shape would be recognisable, and also I didn't want to do too much fine detail inside because that would kind of take away too much of the pencil that it wouldn't be recognised as like an abstract piece of art, you know. So yeah, but it's a good technique to use if you have an art block. It will definitely break it. To be completely honest, I never knew about this technique before. I never watched a video, never tried it myself. This is my first time ever trying it, and maybe it's a way I can. It could be a style that I implement for big project works like commissions and stuff, or maybe it's just something I do for fun. I'm not sure yet, but either way, I feel like me discovering this, and again, it may exist. I just may not be in the loop, and that's completely okay. I own up to that. But my point is like just these ideas of doing something that was so unconventional. Like even if I was going to use the rubber technique, to not use the back of the pencil, but to actually use the rubber to craft it, because when I rub out, I mostly use the back of the pencil because it's smaller and it's just more fine margins and everything. But this was really freeing, and I really recommend it.
Tip number 6.
So say you've got art block, yeah, and you don't really know how to get out of that. Well, in tip number 6, what you can do is draw with your weak hand. Now, I'm left-handed, and this drawing's with my right hand. And as you can already see by the video footage, it's very, it's kind of like this character made out of sand, like the way it's very jagged and everything. And if I was making Sandman, if that was my intention, this would probably be a great technique to use. But it's not, it's just to you make guides and draw a character. At the point of drawing this, I did not know how far I was going to go with this, if I was going to do the whole body, if it was just going to be tools. So it ended up being, well, you'll see in the end. But yeah, you can see how like I'm not really considering any shapes like circles or lines or squares or anything. I'm just kind of like connecting it all up in like a kind of, I guess, a free way to do it as well. Think about it like that. Like say you want to design something natural like a flower. Like this would be a great technique to use your weak hand, and you think, well, flowers are so intricate and detailed. Like how can I draw this with my weak hand? Well, you get the guide for it. Like do if you can, then you would go over it and say, okay, what kind of shapes I can make. Or this would be a great technique for clouds as well. I feel like your clouds are maybe too perfect or anything. Drawing them with your weak hands gives them that natural, like fluttery effect, that fluff and everything, and that would be a great technique. So also doing this, you kind of more appreciate the things you can draw well on your strong hand. So this is another technique that kind of adds reassurance to you, and also like accountability for you, like to stick to this if you ever feel like you're not strong with your strong hand for a day or something, you know.
Tip number 7.
Or something in your room. Like why? Well, kind of like going outside. you'll get that. You'll maneuver yourself to get the angle that is either challenging or just tells the best of what it is. For example, say I drew this, like in rubber. This is kind of a basic object, so you'd be able to, any type of way you draw this, you'd be able to see that it's a rubber. Well, take for instance this paint. Obviously, you can still tell it's paint, but maybe drawing it like this, maybe drawing it like on its sides or something. But you do it like this, and you take away the white and don't focus, just focus on the shape. Or maybe you do it like this, where it's like you can see here or straight on. Like obviously, drawing it like this probably wouldn't be the best because it would be a circle thing, and you couldn't tell it's paint. So whatever you do, like just moving around, like even take intervals, like say you draw like this for 5 minutes, then you turn it around 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. It really like prepares you for when you draw outside, and it also just makes you, maybe you want to change your setup, maybe you want to move certain things there to make your room more appealing, and then you're like, okay, or like interior design or something, and you're like, I like my room this way, then I move something around. Actually, this way makes me feel better, and when you go outside to draw, you will have that knowledge as well. So drawing things in your room is a great idea. Shape here, but that's a problem for another. Okay, so what can I draw? So you can see I'm doing a building here. Just kind of using the shape to give me the information. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be the neatest building or anything, but that's not the point. It's just, I feel like I do need to add some separation so it's not all cats with them drawing or talking about, So this is a very good example of that. So here we go. And let's add one at the back here. There we go. So you could probably turn this to a logo or something. Okay, let's do circle now. Circle, let's do a snowman. Yeah. So you see like a triangle's gonna be, but you see just using these shapes that are given to make something, and then if you decide to use your graphics tablet or whatever you have, you can go in and refine it. But it's good to get this basic shapes down. For the hat, it's gonna be roundish. That's more, but it's still got round elements, even though it's not. Yeah, okay. And then when we come to triangles, it will be, let's do here, put the line there, here, I think you can tell what this is going to be, but if not, just wait and find out. That's about, yeah, I guess you didn't have to wait and find out. But yeah, so just a little exercise you can do, like you got online, well, you don't even need online access to do this, but you got like your computer or something. Just to think like, okay, now I get to make the layer lighter and just sketch over it, chicken scratch, and then maybe add the line work, and that structure's already there. So even if you had like feathers or any kind of detail, you still got the foundation there, and without
Tip number 9.
crosswords. Yes, crosswords. Let me just move the camera. Yes, crosswords. So how's this gonna help you with art block? Well, you see, when you're noticing patterns and you're noticing words and you're noticing, okay, so things can either work straight down, vertical, horizontal, or diagonally, and that makes you think as an artist as well. Maybe I've been drawing faces flat, and that's maybe I'm getting bored of that. So maybe I could change the angle. And crosswords is all about changing the angle. You see what you're looking for. So I just made this one here. It's not very detailed, but that's not the point. The point is like just doing this, just connecting things and finding connections, like finding ways to do stuff. Like that's really gonna help you in your art when maybe you don't have reference and you want to draw something. Maybe you just want to draw something from mind or something doesn't exist. So of course you don't have reference and you're like, there's nothing even similar to that. But just thinking, okay, so this could be here, this could be here, this could be that, and just going with the flow, and that's very important. So yeah, thank you for watching.
Tip number 10.
When you read something creative, you get inspired by new ideas and you really appreciate the immersive worlds others can put you in. And you hope you can instill that same awe of creativity into your own work.
Tip number 11.
When you watch a movie that inspires you, you're going to see so much great camera angles and storytelling techniques and like a book, but it's going to be more visual.
And tip number 12.
Last, but certainly not least, listen to the type of music that you want for the type of vibe that you're going for. What do I mean by this? Well, if you're drawing something bright and happy, then listen to bright and happy music, like bouncy music, like meditation music even if you want that type of vibe. If you're listening to something that's scary, listen to dark music or like Batman music or something like that, because that's really dark but not too scary, you know what I mean? And yeah, you just like if you're in that mindset of like, oh, this music's gonna like you don't want to listen to sad music because you don't want to be sad. Like, well, in art, you shouldn't. You should match it with what you want, the energy. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in some merch, check out Loner Haven, where I have free items available. I appreciate your support. And Courage Studio is now closed for the day.